I promise you, I just drink water and mind my business. But it just so happens that every now and then I see something that inspires me, and that part of my brain starts getting curious, and I start scratching and scratching. So if you saw the last story and you're watching this video, you're curious about how to avoid paying taxes. But I don't think that that's the question that you really need to be asking. I think the real question is, what are you going to use the money that you avoid in paying the taxes for the child? So I wrote some notes so that way I could be brief. I'm putting myself on a little timer, and I'm pulling up some tools so that way I can just be a little bit faster with my calculations, because I got some numbers. You know what they say, Lucy, you got some explaining to do. Okay, yes, I actually do need to wear glasses. Alright, so just because I'm tired of straining my eyes when I'm looking at so many things on the internet, right? WFH, working from home. So let me talk about this Trump account, right? For those of you who are not familiar with OBBA, the One Big Beautiful Act, right? This isn't about law, so this is for education and information purposes, right? Not a solicitation for securities or for investments. Just, hey, I feel like people need to know this, because I'm also curious too. I got reasons to look into this myself, all right? And what I mean by looking into this myself, well, I got people who want to know what happens. Show me the money. That's what they want to know. They don't care about anything else. They say, Prince, show me the money. Prince L, show me the mother-loving money, all right? So I'm going to draw out a hypothetical for you, right? Because homegirl might be right if that financial advisors may not be talking about the taxes that are associated with the Trump account, but that might be because they're not multi-licensed like myself. So I am a multi-licensed mortgage loan originator. Basically, I help people qualify for loans, help them negotiate terms and conditions of a loan contract. So if you are at all interested in buying a house, or you're thinking about using the Trump account to help your child in 20 years buy a house, well, you're in the right place, okay? So let's talk about the Trump account real quick, right? Let's say hypothetically you put the Trump account into a fund, right? And you let that fund grow for the next 18 years, okay? And it was at a 9% rate of return. So here's what that looks like if we did a 18-year hypothetical of $1,000 one time invested from the government, right, into a fund similar to the S&P 500, right, for 18 years with no additional contributions, and just that $1,000 would equal $5,023, right? So here I am just writing that note down. $5,023, all right? That's pretty good on growth. Let's look at how much, what was the interest on that. So $1,000 was the beginning balance, 0 additional contributions, and we have $4,000 grown. Okay, all right, pretty cool. Pretty cool. Here's the thing, right? She brought up a good point about this money being taxed at the time that the child decides to withdraw it. However, you're a parent, right? You're going to explain to your child and teach them and educate them over the course of the next 18 years with a little bit of assistance from your favorite multi-licensed mortgage loan originator, right? This game plan that you have for your child to buy a house within 20 years. Okay, so now remember, you're going to tell your child maybe go to school. At 18, they're going to go to school. By 2 years later, they should have an associate's degree. They're 20 years old, and probably they've been working for the last 2 years of their adult lives, right? So they've got 2 years worth of income. You've helped them also do things like improve or build their credit score up to about, let's say, a 580 or a 680, right? When maybe you only need a 640. If you got questions, feel free to leave those in the comments, right? But now, you know, who's gonna be able to put just use $5,000 for a down payment on a house, right? Like, I don't know. Well, do we stop there? No, because the young lady mentioned also opening up a 529 or, you know, which is another form of a college savings plan, right? It's another investment vehicle for your child's education. Right now, if you decided to do a child's college savings plan, such as a 529, let's say that you were putting $50 a month in for the next 18 years with $50 every month additional contribution, right? So like, let's look at this, right? Here we go. Let's look at this because I got to keep this brief. I know you just want to be showing the money. So here's the $50 contribution at a 9% interest rate, right? Rate of return for the next 18 years. And you're going to do $50 a month. That's going to be $27,270, right? So now let's come over here and let's look at that, all right? You started with $50. In total, over 18 years, you contribute $10,800. And you have a growth of $16,419, right? This is what your kid's college fund hypothetically could look like if you had this type of a strategy attached to your Trump savings account, right? So like, let me go ahead and just write this number down as well, because we're gonna, we got to do the numbers. $27,270 from 18 years worth of growth, right? And I'm just putting that in my book, making the notes. So we got, oh, I forgot to add something. We forgot the $250 from the Dell. If you're in a qualified zip code, they're going to give you an additional $250. So you're going to have $1,250. So let me go ahead and go back over here and modify this real quick, right? Let me adjust the numbers real quick. Let me not, you don't want to watch me just do some data entry stuff, right? But let's go ahead and update the Trump account plus the $250 that you're going to get for being in a qualified zone if you are under the average median income, right? You're going to let that $1,250 sit in a mutual fund like that, that mirrors the S&P 500, right? And let's say that hypothetically it only gives you 9%, right? So from that initial $1,250, and here we go. Let me show that to you. From the initial $1,250 from the Trump account and the $250 that you get from Dell at 9% with no additional contributions over 18 years equals $6,278. So let me adjust my numbers. $6,278. All right. Let's look at that. Right. Here's the contribution. Trump and Dell gave you $1,250. You had a growth of over $5,000, right? Over 18 years. There it is in my notes. There's the updated math, right? But we also know that $27,000 plus $270 from our child's UPMA account. Well, let's go ahead and do the math on that. So let's do some more math. All we're doing is just doing some more math. And it's not math for us. Who's the math for? The math is for the baby. The math is for the baby. For what do you want the math to do for the baby? You want the math to be mathing and basically be enough to have for a down payment on a house for the child who you've been educating on the proper uses of credit, right? The importance of delayed gratification, right? By creating a budget for a goal in the future, right? So we got $6,278 plus $27,270 70. Let me add all of that up. 27, 270. You're looking at what? 8, 4, 5, 3. We're looking at $33,548, right? In combination, in total, of doing the Trump contribution plus Dell's $250 being in the qualified zip code, right? We invest that $1,250 one time at a rate of 9%, right? Average return into something like the S&P 500. We got $6,278 from that, plus the UTMA or the 529 account that we opened up for our child, putting $50 in for the next 18 years. We got $27,270. We total all that up into $33,548. Let's see what happens when we put this $33,000. Number one, like, we've already got enough money that's built up, both tax deferred and tax free, right? We got actually way more tax free growth money that we can use for either A, for education, or B, we're going to do some other things with it in a second. But let's see what just happens if we don't touch the money at all. Like, the kid doesn't touch the money. He's like, look, I want to use this money for buy my house, right? So he's 18 with $33,548 in their pocket. In their pocket. Because they had parents like you thinking about the numbers, saying, boy, I'm trying to make sure that you're good, right? So we're going to do this for 2 years. Let's just look at what happens after 2 years of it growing. Oh my goodness. We go from 33,000, right? We go from 33,000 for our children, for the child. We go from the $33,548 at a constant rate of 9%, one time invested, rolled over, so we haven't had to pay any taxes on anything. Remember, the $1,250 is tax deferred growth. $27,270 is tax free growth, right? That you used your after tax money to fund that 529 account, right? So that money grew tax deferred. You got a total of 33. The child's got a total of 33,000, and for 2 years letting it sit there, we started out with 33,000, and we had $6,000 worth of growth, almost $7,000 worth of growth. So now you got $40,000 that can be used easily for down payment on a house. Little door, little windows, right? Let's put some flowers over there and some flowers over there and some birds. Some happy little birds flying into the sunset, right? Scaw, scaw. Your house. Okay, enough of the art. So think about that, right? Now, if the child decides that they don't want to buy a house, then what they want to do is they want to chill at home for about 5 years. And I mean, hey, it makes sense. After 5 years of being at home, let's see what happens. After 5 years of them being at home, cutting the cost of their living expenses, having not touched the money at all, we actually go from $33,000 to $52,525, right? We had an interest of almost 20 grand, and just letting all of that money sit for 5 years at a constant rate of return of 9%. Again, hypothetical. Okay. Now, here's where we get real jazzy. Instead of doing it for 5 years, the average person works about 42 years to the time of early retirement at 59 and a half. So I'm going to adjust the numbers for 42. This is just me saying that, well, we put the 33,000 in there, which was the combination of the $1,250 that we got from Trump and Dell, plus which grew tax deferred, right? Meaning we were going to have to pay taxes on it way later in life, right? We haven't paid any taxes. Okay, cool. Zero tax liability. Zero, the lowest, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. It's never been ever where the government's. Let me not do it. Okay, right. But you got that $1,250 grew to $6,278. You also created the $529, which was for the child, right? Gross tax free, right? Because you're using the after tax money to fund the account for the child, right? Of which, at a constant rate of return of 9%, you get $27,270, right? And we combine that with the $6,000, so we got $33,548. But now, like, let's say that at 18, the child says, I don't know if I want to buy a house yet. They actually forget about the account. They're at home for 5 years. They're doing the working man or woman thing. They build up some income, and they just let this money sit there. What would happen if they left the money alone for 42 years, from the age of 18 to the age of 42? Well, they would have approximately $1.4 million. They would have started with $33,000, made zero additional contributions, and had interest of over $1.4 million just by letting the $33,000 sit. Now let me ask you, who else is helping you create a 20-year game plan for your child to be able to A, buy a home with either a portion or all of the funds used to help grow a down payment, while you've been helping them build good credit score of about 580 to 640, 680 or 720 or better, right? Where they could qualify for even better interest rates because you've helped them out. And then they're at home for 2 to 5 years, letting that $33,000 that grew, where you still haven't paid any taxes, for another 42 years, where they could retire at the age of 60 and not have to think about money or working for money. Because I mean, like, at this point they could take an annuity and take, like, at best $49,000 a year, depending on their living expenses. But I mean, like, geez, they probably don't have a mortgage because you know how to stay out of debt. They've learned. I mean, so many good things. I've taken up enough of your time. If this has interested you or, piqued your curiosity and you would like to know more, feel free to leave a comment down below. And if you'd like to look at a potential, at possible options for you, even if your child isn't able to benefit from the Trump account, right, from the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, OBA, right, then definitely feel free to reach out to me. The consultation, the hypothetical, it's at no cost to you. It costs you nothing but some time to look at some numbers to create a game plan for either yourself or for the ones that you love. I can do this not just for children. I can show adults how to do the same thing. Of course, the longer you wait, the more expensive it becomes in order for you to reach an income where you've got $1.4 million that you can annuitize for the rest of your life, paying the least amount of taxes. If you're interested in that, I'm at your service. Your favorite multi-licensed mortgage loan originator, mortgage broker, whatever you want to call them. All right? Not just insurance, not just investments, not just mortgages. The whole thing. Whatever you need, I'm here to help provide it for you. Peace.